Before smartphones, before Wi-Fi, before you could search anything in seconds, life in Canada felt slower, quieter, and in many ways, more connected. Imagine standing on a snowy street in the 1970s, your breath visible in the cold air, holding a folded paper map that keeps slipping in the wind. No blue dot telling you where to go, just instinct and maybe the kindness of a stranger. If you grew up in Canada between the 1960s and 1980s, you didn't just live without the internet. You lived a completely different kind of life. Back then, everything required a little more effort and a lot more patience. But somehow, those small efforts made everyday moments feel bigger, warmer, and unforgettable. Think about traveling across a city. There was no GPS, no voice guiding you. You had a glove compartment filled with paper maps, creased, torn at the folds, sometimes outdated. You'd stop the car, spread the map across the steering wheel, and try to figure out which street you missed. And when that didn't work, you'd roll down your window and ask someone walking by, "Excuse me, do you know how to get to..." It wasn't just about directions. It was a small human connection. Communication felt different too. Phones weren't something you carried in your pocket. They were attached to walls, often with long, tangled cords stretching across the room. Rotary phone, where dialing a number meant slowly turning the dial and waiting for it to spin back each time. And if you weren't home, you found a phone booth, dropping coins into the slot, hoping you had enough change. Those quiet booths, sometimes fogged up from the cold, became little private spaces in busy streets. And when you couldn't call, you wrote letters, real letters, sitting at a table, pen in hand, choosing your words carefully because you knew it would take days, maybe weeks, for your message to arrive. There was something special about opening a mailbox and finding an envelope with your name on it. The texture of the paper, the handwriting, it felt personal in a way emails never quite do. Entertainment had its own rhythm. Saturday mornings were sacred for kids. You'd wake up early, still in your pajamas, and rush to the television. There were no streaming platforms, no endless choices, just a few channels, and you watched whatever cartoons were on. And somehow, that made it even more exciting. If you missed it, you missed it. There was no rewind. Television itself was a family experience. One TV in the living room, maybe inside a big wooden console. Everyone gathered around at the same time to watch the same show. You didn't binge watch. You waited a whole week for the next episode. That waiting built anticipation, something rare today. Music was something you could hold. Vinyl records spinning slowly, the soft crackle before a song began. Or cassette tapes you carefully rewound with a pencil when the player got stuck. Making a mixtape for someone wasn't just a playlist. It was time, effort, and emotion packed into every track. And then there were the photos. Today, you take a picture and see it instantly. Back then, every photo mattered because you couldn't check it right away. You'd finish a roll of film, take it to a shop, and wait days to get it developed. That moment of opening the envelope, flipping through each photo, sometimes blurry, sometimes perfect, it felt like opening a small time capsule. School life had its own charm. No laptops, no Google. If you had a project, you went to the library. Rows of shelves, the smell of books, the quiet atmosphere. You'd search through encyclopedias, heavy volumes filled with information. Finding the right page felt like discovering treasure. And yes, it took longer, but you remembered what you learned. Evenings were different too. Kids played outside until the streetlights came on. No texting to check if your friends were free. You just knocked on their door. Can they come out and play? And entire neighborhoods felt like one big community. Parents knew each other. Neighbors looked out for each other. Winters in Canada added another layer to these memories. Snow-covered streets, kids building forts, skating on frozen ponds. Coming back home with frozen fingers, peeling off layers of clothes, and warming up with hot chocolate. Those simple moments stayed with you. Shopping wasn't online. It was an outing. You went to stores, walked through aisles, talked to shopkeepers. There was no add to cart. You saw things, touched them, decided on the spot. And when something was out of stock, you waited. No next day delivery. Even news traveled differently. You didn't scroll through headlines. You watched the evening news or read the morning paper. Information came at a slower pace, giving you time to think, to discuss, to understand. Cars didn't have digital screens or navigation systems. Road trips meant planning ahead, packing snacks, and sometimes getting lost. But getting lost often led to unexpected discoveries. Small towns, quiet lakes, places you never planned to see. And then there were moments that didn't need technology at all. Sitting around a table for dinner, talking about your day, stories from parents or grandparents, laughter filling the room without any distractions from screens. What made those years special wasn't just the absence of technology. It was the presence of something else. Patience, presence, connection. You had to wait for things, and that waiting made them meaningful. You had to talk to people, and that built real relationships. You had fewer choices, but somehow that made every choice feel important. Today, everything is faster, more convenient, more connected digitally. But sometimes it feels like something got left behind. Maybe it was the excitement of hearing your favorite song come on the radio unexpectedly, or the joy of finding a handwritten letter in your mailbox, or the simple act of asking a stranger for directions and sharing a brief, genuine moment. If you remember even a few of these moments, the maps, the phone booths, the cassette tapes, then you've lived through something truly special. So tell me, what do you remember most from those days?